What's going on, everybody? It's your friendly neighborhood web developer here with another tutorial, and today we're going to be looking at how you can manipulate the speed of your parallax effect so you can adjust how much it scrolls with your web page, just like you see here. So let's go ahead and dive right into this thing. Everybody, let's spin that web. So to kickstart this project, you're going to need a couple of things. First, you're going to need to reference the CDN links to a JavaScript library called Parallax.js. Now, I've forked this into my own GitHub account for your convenience, and I'll put the link in the description. You can grab it at your leisure. The CDN links are right here. If you're going to use this for a production site, though, I would recommend using the npm yarn or bower setup so that you have the files located directly on your site. The second thing you're going to need is an image. Really, you can use any image that you like. This was just one that I got for free off of Pexels. I'll throw the credit to the artist in the description as well. With those two things ready to go, we're ready to start coding. So let's go ahead and open up our command prompt. We're going to quickly make a directory here. I'm going to call it Parallax Demo, if I can type. And then we're going to change directory right into it. And then we're going to go ahead and use the shortcut to open up Visual Studio Code. I like to do it that way simply because then it opens up Visual Studio Code right in the directory that I just created versus opening up in the last directory that I had open in Visual Studio Code. So just in case you're wondering there. Okay, with our code editor open, we're going to go ahead and create a few files. First, we're going to need our index.html, and then we can create a folder for our CSS. And inside of that, we're going to make our main.sass. Okay, with the index, go ahead and type our exclamation point, hit tab to get our boilerplate in there. And then we want a few other things here. Let's see, we're going to build out some sections. And inside the section, we'll have a heading. We'll just call it Parallax Demo. And then we'll create one more section. And we'll do another heading in there. And we'll give that an ID of bottom just so we can manipulate that one on its own. All right, between these two sections, we're going to create a couple of divs. If you look in the documentation for the Parallax.js, it shows you exactly how to do it. You just grab this line of code right here. It's div with a class of parallax window, data parallax scroll, the image source, and then you put the path to the image. So if we go ahead and copy that directly from here with Control-C, and then we're going to open up our code editor again. And we're going to paste it right in there. Oh, we're going to need an image folder. So let's get that right away. And then we can drag our saved image file in there as well. All right, I'll just pull that in from off screen, drop it right in there, and there it is. Okay, so now we just need to adjust the path. And that's going to be in our images. And then it's going to be bridge.jpg. All right, and for the purpose of this tutorial, I want two of these parallax sections, so I'm just going to go ahead and duplicate this with the keyboard shortcut Shift, Alt, and the down arrow, and we've got our image set to the bridge again. Now, if we go back into our documentation, we can see that there's a few different values that we can change. The ones that I want to draw your attention to are the natural width and the natural height, because you can provide those in order to speed up the render of the image itself. And then the last one, the one that really is what we're looking at today, is the speed. The speed is actually what you can manipulate in order to make the parallax scroll at a different pace. If we go back into this demo I had set up previously, you can see these two have different speeds, which is why this one stays pretty much stationary and this one scrolls along with the web page a bit. So looking back at the documentation, we can see we're going to need to use data dash the value in order to make this work. Okay, so let's hop back into our code here, and we're going to set this like this. We're going to go data natural width, and it's going to be, my image is 3000 pixels, so it's going to be 3000 for the value, and then it's going to be data natural height, and on mine it is 2000 pixels. And then for the speed on the first one, the one that stays predominantly stationary, I'm just going to go with like a 0.1. So absolute 0 would be totally stationary, and then 1 would be completely scrolling with the web page. So we'll start with 0.1 on that one. We're going to do the same thing here on this next one. Just go like that, but we're going to change the speed to 0.7 on that one. Now, if we take a look at this, we'll go ahead and save it, and we'll right-click and open with a live server. We don't have any CSS values yet, so it should look pretty awful, and it does, so we're not disappointed. Let's get back into our code here, and let's go ahead and first make sure that we reference our CSS file so that when we do use it, we have something to show for it. It'll be CSS and the main.css. And then looking at this here, it looks like I also need those CDN references. So I'm just going to pull those from off screen here and make sure I paste those in. Okay, now let's go ahead and build some CSS. And I like to use Sass because I can do variables, but when you're using Sass, you need to make sure that you have a compiler that turns it into a regular CSS document that the browser can actually read. So let's go ahead and do that. And now it's watching for my Sass files. And I'm going to throw in some variables for colors because I'm fancy like that and it's fun. And what's the use in coding if you're not having fun? All right, we got those for some colors. Then we need some boilerplate stuff, the HTML, the body. We need to set a margin of 0, otherwise things look wonky. Give it a height, if I can type. There we go. And a width. All right. Now we need to set some values for our sections. Give those a height of 600 pixels each. And we're going to use that winter green for the background. There's that. Give it again, margin of 0. And then I like to use Flex. I know people go back and forth on it, but I had to read like a 100-page PDF on it once for a class, and I've just been using it ever since. It works really well for me to align items. It's a lot easier for the way my brain works than using padding and margin all the time just to get something to line up in a specific spot. And for the love of all things holy, please don't use table data. It is way out of fashion, folks. So let's move on to 2019 here. All right, let's see. We'll also need to justify the content. I'm going to do this one at flex start so it's lined up on the left. And then we'll align the items. This will work on the vertical axis to the center. Give it a little bit of padding for the headings. I know I just talked about padding, but this allows me to really specifically place this thing. If I don't put this on, our headings are going to go all the way to the flex start. So that means it'll go all the way to the left, and because I have no margin set, it'll be hugging the left side of the browser, which is going to look stupid. So we'll give it a little bit of padding on the left, and then on my other one, I want to align it on the right, so I'm going to make sure I have some padding down there as well. Then for headings inside of a section, just going to give it font family Oswald because I like Oswald, and transform the text to uppercase, again, just personal preference, and go to an italic because why not? And we'll make it big. 48 pixels should do it. Now, for that bottom section, I want to justify the content to the end because that'll pull that heading over to the right. Now for our parallax windows, we can just hit a div because that's the container we put them both in. I'll give it a margin 0. We'll display it flex again. This time I'm going to justify the content to the center. And because I'm going to put a paragraph inside of these divs, I'm going to change this flex to a column for the flex direction so that they stack up neatly. And then align the items to the center as well. And let's see. Again, I'm going to go font family of Oswald just to keep it consistent. We'll transform the text again. You guys can do whatever you like. I just like to play around with things and see how they look, so this is what I'm going with today. And then for any H2 inside of a div, we're going to give it a font size of 36 pixels, some letter spacing because why not? And again, we'll go italic. All right, we've got that saved. Let's hop back over to our HTML and add those headings in. Let's see, you can just go like this, hit enter, one more time, H2, and some content content, there we go, goes here. And then paragraph, if you hit lorem and then hit tab, turn on that soft wrap, it'll automatically put that in there. At least Visual Studio Code does. Most text editors do, but you'll have to play with yours to see if it does or not. Let's go ahead and save that, and then let's pull up that live server. And we're close. You can almost see what I'm talking about. We forgot to get a height value on the div, so let's just go ahead and add that. Like I said, the image is 2,000 pixels. Let's go ahead and make that 2,000 pixels and just see what that looks like. All right, much better. All right, so now you can see the top one stays almost stationary because we set that speed to 0.1. So if we left it at 0, the image wouldn't scroll at all. Just the content would scroll as you're going down the browser. On the second one, we set the speed to 0.7, so it almost scrolls with the web page itself. You can play with this and get some really cool effects. Not so bad, right? And that's going to wrap it up for this one, guys. I hope you liked it. If you did, don't forget to smash that thumbs up button. And as always, don't forget to subscribe for more tips and tutorials to come. We'll see you next time.